What is up, everybody? I'm Kayla Anderson. Welcome into my very first video log, and it's all a part of my new website that I just launched. I'm super excited about this because I've been wanting to do this for a really long time. I have been in the sports broadcasting business for over 10 years now. It's hard to believe, time just like flies. But I really thought at this point in my career, I've been through a lot. I've learned a lot, I've been a lot of places, covered a lot of teams, and I thought this is the time where I want to share that stuff. And I also want to get feedback from you guys too on what you want me to talk about, topics you want to hear about. First and foremost, my passion is sports. Anybody who knows me knows that. And I don't discriminate. I love all sports. I have my favorites, but I can talk about anything because I've really covered everything. But I also am really passionate about health and fitness, and I'm really passionate about good skin care and skin routine because that's been a part of my life too, being on TV. I've gone through some skin issues and had to deal with that, so I like to help everybody out there who is going through things like that because I have little tidbits and information that I'd like to share. So I'll be doing that once a week. I'll be sharing video logs, and they'll all be different topics. So if you guys ever have any feedback, make sure to contact me on the tab on my website that says contact, and you guys can give me as much feedback as you want, or just if you guys have topics you want to talk about, you can let me know that too. So anyways, I wanted to start though by talking about a sport that is near and dear to my heart, and this is really just to tell you guys why I'm so passionate about this sport, because it goes way back to my childhood, and I am talking about the wonderful sport of hockey. And yes, this is my hockey stick that I'm actually saving to give to my nephew, which one day he'll be old enough, I'm hoping, to actually hold this thing. But long story short, my passion for this game started back when I was a child, and my grandfather actually grew up in Winnipeg, Manitoba, which, you know, Canadians, they love their hockey. So he passed that love along to my dad, and my dad passed it along to my brother and I, who is 5 years younger than me. So we grew up watching the Spokane Chiefs in our hometown of Spokane, Washington. And the Chiefs are a WHL team out of the Western Hockey League. There's a lot of guys that come out of the Western Hockey League that either have made it to the pros and played in the pros, or that are in the pros now, playing in the National Hockey League. So it's really a good league, and it's great hockey. And my brother and I talk about this all the time, but we remember going to these games in the Boone Street Barn. It was like this old rickety coliseum, way outdated, but we really didn't care because it was so fun. It was so entertaining. And these guys are like 18, 19, 20 years old, and they're just out there just playing their hearts out. And there's always a lot of fighting at that level. So that's always fun when you're young. But Spokane Chiefs fans were great. We really have had a good franchise there for a while, and they've won 2 Memorial Cups. So they're pretty successful. They have put some big guys in the NHL, but they have also put a coach by the name of Mike Babcock in the NHL. He coached for the Detroit Red Wings, and now he coaches for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So it's really fun having that claim to fame, and I actually watched him coach when he was at that level, so it's pretty cool. So when I was in college, and when I got my first job in the broadcasting business out of college, not my love for hockey faded, but I wasn't around it as much, and so we kind of like got away from each other a little bit. And that's what happens in life. When you're on journeys, you learn new things, you learn about new sports, in my case. And so it wasn't until 2014 I learned I was getting a job in Columbus, Ohio. Majority reason for me taking that job was honestly because I knew I'd be able to cover professional hockey teams. So I went to Columbus, Ohio in 2014, and you guys all know Columbus for the Columbus Buckeye, or the Ohio State Buckeyes, which are big there. They reign king there. But the Blue Jackets and hockey really have started to grow there, and the youth hockey community is outstanding. And so people are really getting interested in hockey, which is a great thing because it's a sport that needs to grow, and I think continues to grow. So for 3 years I covered the Blue Jackets. I did a series called Ice Chips, And it was something that I set forth from the day that I got in there. I said, I want to do something that can connect the fans with the players on a different level. I want to show what these guys do out in the community, because sometimes that gets overlooked. And they don't have a lot of time during the season, but they find ways to give back. I think that's so important to share with everybody out there, and that's a big part of this website too, is just spreading the good word in sports, because it's not always done that way. We'll be doing a lot when it comes to X's and O's, and if you guys ever want to break down things, I would love to do that too, but I also want to go beyond that. So this is a lot of what I'll be putting on my website when it comes to stories and sharing things on the video log portion of things. But so covered them, did the Ice Chip series, was really fun. Got to cover Stanley Cup playoff run, which it ended shortly. They played Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh and them do not like each other very much, but we did get a cover. I got to cover my first Stanley Cup playoff game and series, and it was pretty exciting. So that was a first for me. And then I lost my job in Columbus, Ohio, unfortunately, but in this business, anything can happen, and I've had pretty much everything happen to me. So it's just another, blip in the long adventure that I have to cross. So I was fortunate enough to get a job here in Nashville, Tennessee, and I've been covering the Predators now. This is my second full season, and it's a great gig. And I cover all the other sports here, but hockey is still something that I put a lot of time into. And so last year was my first year covering them. What a cool organization this is. Hockey's not big in the South. It's football. Football reigns king here. But the Predators have done such a good job with building a culture here. And people are crazy when it comes to hockey now, because they've had some success the last few years, and it only continues to build. So that's been really fun to watch, and I've been able to go to a few Preds games just as like a fan and not actually covering it. They're really entertaining. So if you're ever in Nashville and you want something to do besides going to Broadway and hitting up the bars, go to Broadway and hit up Bridgestone Arena, because these games are so fun. And I think you'll grow a little bit more respect for hockey just watching everything there and live, and then with all the great entertainment that goes along with it. And then you can go get a beer afterwards on Broadway and listen to country music. So, but anyways, it's been really fun here covering them. But I think that this is the year that they can win the Stanley Cup, and I'm excited because I've come close to covering a champion on this level. I mean, I've covered Ohio State, and they were champions in 2014, and I covered that national championship. I got this close to covering the Indians, but the Cubbies obviously beat them, very well deserving of that. But this is a year they could win the Stanley Cup, and this would be so awesome to be able to cover something like a Stanley Cup final and see a team that I cover win it, because again, hockey has really been such a big part of my life, and to be a part of something like that just would make what I do and how hard I work in this career even that much better. So I'm super excited to see what can happen this year. But the big reason why I think that they can go all the way is because they have a core, the big core, the majority of their team coming back. And they went to their general manager, David Poyle, in the offseason as a team and said, look, we don't want you to trade anybody. We want to stay how we are. And that usually doesn't happen. So you can tell this team loves each other. They care about each other. They do a lot for each other. On and off the ice, they're always hanging out. So that just shows so much when you get out on the ice. You have to play, night in and night out through the season, and you're grinding and there's injuries. When you have that natural chemistry, it means so much more when it comes to a championship team. So I think that these guys can get it done this year. I'm excited to see how it all pans out. I will be doing tons of updates. I'm sure you guys will be seeing Preds stories on here. So if you're a Preds fan or a hockey fan in general, I always like talking about hockey. So anytime you have a topic you want to talk about, let me know. I also wanted to say I am really, I guess it's a long time coming, I'm really excited that Seattle is going to be getting a hockey team in 2020. So shout out to them. I know the process is slowly coming along here, but I just talked to some people the other day up in Seattle, and they had started up a podcast, so I'm going to jump on with them and do some podcasting and talk some hockey. They were actually huge fans of the Nashville organization, so that's really cool to see that the Preds have made an impression all over the country when it comes to hockey. But that's just something I wanted to share with you. It's my first video log. It's really just to get to know me on a personal level, get to know what goes behind my passion for certain things, and to share some stories with you. So if you have any feedback to give me, or you have topics that you want to talk about, let me know. Just go on to my website, click contact. You can contact me that way, and hopefully I can be bringing you guys some fresh new stuff every week on this video log. But for now, I hope you enjoy the rest of the week wherever you are, and I'll see you guys soon. See ya!